Hey guys, Kyle here. So, just before the show starts, I wanted to mention our Patreon. You can pay us $1 a month as a thank you, as a tip. You can pay $2 a month to get access to one of our bonus content shows, episodes 2 days early, and a secret Discord chat where all of our Patreon donors get to go and hang out and talk with us directly. Then there's a $5 tier that you can donate to get access to a whole bunch more content. We have multiple bonus episodes on there. So please check it out. Patreon.com/itgetsweird. We don't advertise, we don't make money. So check it out and throw some money if you think that would be cool. Thanks.
Welcome to It Gets Weird, our comedy show where we explore the unusual, the unbelievable, and the unexplained to try to make your world a little weirder. I'm Nile.
And I'm Kyle, and it has been an absolute fuck of a week, so I am ready to blast the fuck off. I'm gonna go, Nile, I'm gonna go crazy this week. I'm gonna go nuts.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go fucking ape shit.
You're gonna go crazy, go nuts?
Shit. You have no idea. I'm gonna do some shit that you're not prepared for at some point in this episode. I'm just gonna fucking go crazy. I'm gonna go nuts. I'm gonna do something unbelievable.
Is it White Boy Summer?
Well, I don't know whether I can
Answer
endorse
the question,
that.
counselor.
I get it. I am a white boy.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have any particular allegiance to a summer of that.
Okay.
My particular, I don't have the Chet Hanks craziness. I have a different brand of craziness. It's a little different. But I will say I had a really fucked week. Nile knows all about it. Jules knows all about it. Everybody knows all about it except for you, listener at home. It's been crazy. I lived without power for like 2 days. I've been all over the place. It's been crazy. And I'm all right. Do you want in on the little secret of the thing that's going to be absolutely bonkers this week?
Yeah, I want to know.
I'm having a beer on the podcast. Wow. I'm having a fucking beer on the podcast. Which, we don't do that anymore.
Shades of like 2018.
Yeah. This
You
is
just made the
podcasting.
Pixar face before you said that. I just
true.
want that on record.
Is it the Pixar face or the I almost said Dreamcast, the DreamWorks?
Is it DreamWorks?
DreamWorks
Is that
where they're
the
like
smile?
Yeah, DreamWorks, yeah.
Yeah, yes, that's exactly what you did. That's exactly what you did. DreamWorks face.
Oh, it seems
right.
like you don't have an air fryer. That kind of face.
Seems like he's gonna go but over the hedge.
I'm about to go. This single Modelo is about to put me over the hedge. Let me tell you.
You know what's weird? I almost asked you if you want to have a cocktail before we started. I should have made you do it.
I could go grab a natty bow.
Yeah,
could be
that's
kinda
true. We
fun.
got natty buzz.
I'm here for it. And the thing is, this is such a rare occurrence. Even outside the podcast, I don't find myself trying to fucking drink all that often. By the way, Jules is on the show. She did just leave the room.
Yeah,
I should
she did
point that out. But
I believe she's gonna go maybe acquire some natty baz.
This is I had to bring the chaotic energy to this episode because I had the most fucked up week of my life. I didn't eat dinner. I'm halfway through this Modelo and I'm feeling crazy.
All right. Look,
So-
I think that's a good energy to bring to this episode.
Thank you.
This episode is it's I think that's a good energy for this one.
Thank
I
you.
will say that.
Do you mind if I feed you up an email too? Because I think this email could also kind of fit into the crazy vibes we got going. The
Sure.
madness
Let's do an
vibes.
email.
I'm
feeling a little peckish.
Jules is gonna.
Yeah, Jules will come back in the
We'll have
middle of
to-
the email, and we'll see
have
if
to
she can
just-
figure out what the fuck we're talking about.
Yeah, let her know what's going on. So, this email's from Danny. It says, "Hey, weird boys, I'm Danny. First time emailer, long time listener. Yada yada. I've come across a newer conspiracy recently that I've wanted to look into, but then I thought, why not have Kyle and Nile do the work for me? It's about a former empire called Tartaria that was destroyed by a giant mud flood, and everything in the modern world is built on the technology and foundation of that former empire. It's interesting because this is something that allegedly happened very recently for such a massive world-encompassing event about the 60s, I think. I've heard of it referred to as the, quote, QAnon of architecture, which is very funny to me. Anyways, hope to hear about it soon. Have a good one and stay weird.
Quarkitecture.
Yeah, well, the thing is, I thought this was the shit that you put in a cookie dough to make it a snickerdoodle.
I thought it was a widely popular indie game that I've never understood what it is. Terraria.
Oh, took me a second. It's kind of like the Minecraft of QAnon architecture conspiracies, is my understanding. Jules, we just were informed about Tartaria, which is an ancient civilization that supposedly existed in the very recent future. I've heard of this. It's shades. Wait, did you just do a double open?
I did.
Oh my god!
It's
Sorry,
White Boy Summer.
the
Everybody.
fucking the crazy energy is spreading. Nile just opened 2 cans at once. We're getting
It's true.
Like at the same time with both hands.
On both sides of the mic. So
was
hopefully it got a
amazing.
real nice crisp.
Call the Guinness Book.
Yeah.
This is
Now
actually
it did lead to the worst pour of all time. I don't know if you can see that. This is like when Hillary Clinton pulled a pint.
Oh my
Have you ever seen that
God.
image?
No,
What'd you
Hillary
say?
Clinton.
It's like when
poured
Hillary
a
Clinton
pint?
pulled a
Yes,
pint.
I have seen that. I have seen that.
Go, look that up if you haven't. It's pretty funny. It's like about 90% head.
Oh my god, that's like Nancy Reagan levels of head. That's crazy.
90% head. More like my high school experience.
Interesting. I
wish.
That's just a kind of crazy energy. I just can't believe that Nile is the one who made a horrible noise into the mic this week.
I know.
Look,
that's
it's
normally
White
my
Boy
job.
Summer.
It
You
was
guys
set
are
up
getting
here.
crazy in here.
I was set up with the cans, so I kind of. Here, wait, sorry. There's instructions for enjoyment here. Sip is 1.
Okay.
2 is in quotes with an exclamation point, and then 3 is repeat. So I guess that's what I have to do for the rest of the evening.
So you have to all night.
Every time I sip, I have to make an audible ah.
Are you
That
sure
is-
that it's and not like real monsters?
I mean, the exclamation point could lean like you're scared.
yes.
Like yeah, it
There's
really
an exclamation point on that.
Could. Yeah.
How do you pronounce real monsters? Do you scream every time?
Not every time. Only on my holidays.
I think I do like to shout it out.
Yeah.
The at the beginning of it. Do people remember that show?
Do
That's
you
very
say or though when you say it? Me too. Real
Do
monsters.
only 90s kids remember that one? Or are we
only 90s kids will remember this show.
Only kids with a Game Boy Advance video player cartridge remember this one.
Oh my god. You know that they're serving up content on TikTok that's like this terrifying children's show actually aired in the 90s and it's just clips of this ugly ass Klasky Chupo cartoon, which I love.
true.
I love that stuff, but
I was a
it's
huge
been-
fan.
Absolutely. Yeah, me too. In fact, it was one of those shows that I feel like as a kid, I got the sense that it didn't air as often as other shows. And as a result, I was very adamant about trying to watch it whenever I noticed it was going to be on.
I was like that too when I was a kid. And I liked the feeling of like, I didn't know it was called this at the time, but I loved being in a cult thing
Yeah.
where
yeah.
I was like, I can tell not as many people are watching this. That makes it like more fun to me. It feels like special and weird.
Yeah,
That's-
it's honestly, it's the kind of thing that led me to get really deep into Adult Swim from a way too young age because it all felt like that on Adult Swim.
Yeah.
Yeah.
As a result of that feeling as a kid, I was a completely insufferable teenager, and then I had to
Same.
mellow considerably in my
Same.
mid-20s.
Oh yeah. I thought
Jules.
everything I was into was so much cooler than anything anyone else was into.
Jules, we're exactly the same in that regard. I was the same fucking way, and there's still a little bit of a holdover of that for me, for sure.
Yeah.
But yeah, like Real Monsters, I remember as a kid, it felt like I wasn't supposed to be watching it, and that attracted me to it even more.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
anyways, that's the Real Monsters segment for this week.
Plus,
what do we,
the teacher with the eyeballs in his hands was hot as fuck.
the
What's his
armpit
name?
guy?
Of course. Loved him.
I was always a fan of
He's on my hear me out cake.
That, oh my God. Our Real Monsters is full of hear me outs.
For sure.
I always like the striped umbrella
I
thing.
forget all their names.
I don't know. I don't know their names either, but that's definitely
What's weird is earlier when you said
out.
that you were going crazy, I was going to bring up the Hey Arnold episode where he
don't hit me, I'll hit
he goes,
me.
"Don't hit me,
Yeah. Yep.
I'll hit me. I'm crazy." I used to say that a lot.
That imprinted on me so hard as a
Yeah.
child.
Yeah, I was going to ask you if you were going to hit yourself with trash can lids.
And then go bounce off the hood of a sedan.
Yes, I love that episode.
Hey Arnold is a beloved cartoon for me.
Oh,
I
but
remember-
only 90s kids have ever heard
But
of it.
only
I
90s
remember
kids know about
when
it.
you, for some reason, were just like, I for like a month, every time I was like, yeah, what were you up to? Oh yeah, I was just watching Hey Arnold.
Hey,
you watched the entirety of Hey Arnold at one point.
I know
It was good.
exactly when this was. This was when everybody I knew moved from our hometown to go to college. And I was doing like my general education credits at a community college, and I stayed home for a year. And I was very depressed because there was nobody to hang out with. So here's what my life was. My life was every Friday I would go to a local tiny card game store and comic book store, fucking crush Friday Night Magic.
Woo.
And then on the weekends, I would stay at home and play video games like TF2 and watch cartoons. Because I just didn't
that
have...
was White Boy Summer.
That definitely was White Boy Summer.
That was it.
Absolutely.
Let's face it, folks. I was a real Helga Pataki back in my day.
But
With your
everybody...
shrines.
Yeah, the shrine.
Yeah.
The bullying, much less so. I wasn't a bully really, but I was. I had obsessive crushes on people, and I would make their head out of bubble gum and shit. Yeah, yeah, I still do, don't I? Yeah. Aren't I doing the equivalent of making Steve Albini's head out of bubble gum?
I was about to
every
ask,
day?
is there an Albini bubblegum shrine?
I should
yet?
start one.
You should.
Yeah, it might be.
What if I just did root beer flavored gum?
Yeah, there you
That's
go.
an art piece. Okay.
And then we'll get you hosted at an art fair.
To also just Danny, I have heard of Tartaria.
Oh yeah,
I forgot we were in the email.
yeah.
I've heard of it. It's funny because there is this extremely weird and I think pretty niche conspiracy stuff that usually involves saying our understanding of the early years of the like usually it's like lead up to World War I all up to like early Cold War era. It's actually not real. And somehow we have false memories planted about it or something. And it's all kinds of... It takes me... When you mention that, it reminds me of No Forests on Flat Earth, because that story involves how in fairly recent human history, we all nuked ourselves into hell. And what we currently have only was developed, like our society and everything was only developed in the last like 100 years post this nuclear fallout, and our like memories have been changed and stuff, and we used to live in giant world trees, and it all feels like that. But Tartaria, I guess that's one we're gonna have to look into more specifically.
Yeah, I'm always down to learn.
It sounds like Atlantis, but
Yeah,
from 60 years ago or whatever. So anyways, thanks for the email.
thank you. So I did not research Tartaria this week. That will be in the future. This week I wanted to bring kind of another alien primer because on a thing that I had. There's a theme with my episodes lately, which is like I start with like a thing that's like I don't think I understand that very well, or what the fuck is that, and then I end up just like going to do research to answer my own question. And this week comes from the fact that I was like, are tall whites and Nordics the same thing? And so I did an alien primer on tall whites.
For White Boy Summer?
Yes, for White Boy Summer. We're talking about tall whites because I figure we like White Boy Summer needs both tall and small whites. It needs to go across the range. So we're going to start here and kind of move on from there.
I feel like, first of all, I don't have a lot of personal experience with tall whites. I am a relatively short white, and all I really know about tall whites is that they have a lower life expectancy and they do way better on Tinder.
I will say my cousin did marry a Norwegian basketball player, so I think that gives me some
access
connection
to
tall whites.
the tall white community. Okay.
So
Interesting. It's funny because I had to think you definitely did do a Nordics episode, and I
Correct.
think Jules was on that episode. So
yeah, I thought that was going to be kind of an interesting
Synergy.
here going with, because like here's the thing, there are a lot of places that I'll just say that I'll start here. There are a lot of places that will just say tall whites, Nordics, Pleiadians are all the same thing. It's all one thing. However, that doesn't really work with the most common version of tall whites, the most common source for talking about tall whites, which is a guy named Charles Hall. And so like you can't fully, as far as I can tell, there is a difference. They are from different places. We don't exactly know for sure where tall whites are supposedly from, but we have a pretty good guess. And they are just different alien races. So we're going to talk about tall whites today. We'll get through kind of what they are, what they do, a little bit about some of their fun facts.
Do they pair well with fish?
Again, I'm familiar with what some of this stuff. Like my understanding is a lot of one particular tall white that was maybe previously mentioned in the episode is known for misappropriating a Jamaican accent.
Mm-hmm.
That's the kind of thing I'm familiar with tall whites.
Also, really long
doing.
Oscars speeches.
Yes,
That was
that's
him?
true.
No, sorry. I'm conflating.
Oh, you're conflating two different tall whites.
Yes.
I
The joke is.
But that your tall white did both those things.
I know that was.
Which tall white does he mean?
He's talking about Chet Hanks.
Of course.
Yeah, we mentioned
course.
Chet Hanks.
I do remember saying Chet Hanks.
Yeah.
And there's a
I
lot
was
of
thinking, when did we say Adrian Brody? Because I immediately thought of Adrian Brody, and then I figured they probably said his name while I was out downstairs.
No, I was just trying to point out the similarities between Adrian Brody and Chet Hanks.
That is wild. What if Chet Hanks won an Oscar?
that would be fucking
How long would
crazy.
his speech be?
It wouldn't be very long, and he would include the word bombaclat in there for sure.
Did you guys see the Chet Hanks music video that's just Forrest Gump, but his dad's in it?
No.
Jesus, no, I didn't.
It came out like a couple weeks ago. Anyway, so yeah, go check that out if you aren't aware of it.
I don't know if I want to see that.
Okay.
But I guess go
off,
if
King.
you say if you say
If you don't know, I'll tell you. You do.
okay, thank you. I can't speak too much to Tom Hanks's tallness, although I imagine he would be tall.
I think he's taller than he starred in the film Big.
That's true, and he's definitely taller than me. But given that head shape, I would think of him more as like a flat white. So,
yeah,
stupid.
look, that's a good kiss off to this bit.
cool.
So let's talk about tall whites. Tall whites are most notably linked to a guy named Charles Hall and the Nellis Air Force Base, where they supposedly have been secretly working for quite some time. This is one of those ones that they've come to Earth. Supposedly they like sometimes hang out in Las Vegas. So if you're ever in Las Vegas and see someone that's just like kind of weird looking, which that's just Las Vegas, which is literally
That's
like
Vegas,
that's part
baby.
of the lore is like, yeah, they look a little weird, but so does everybody in Las Vegas. So they can like sometimes go and hang out in Las Vegas, which I just think is one of the more charming parts of this whole story. Because Nellis Air Force Base is like 50 miles away from Las Vegas. That's why
Oh my God.
that's where they go. Yeah.
I'm realizing now that Germa is probably a subspecies of tall white.
But I feel his height is
He's not
constantly
very tall,
debated.
right?
Yeah.
Isn't it? They want him to. Didn't they measure him at that one con because people call him short all the time, and he's like, "I'm not short."
Yeah.
I think he's like 5'8" or 5'9", isn't he?
I think so. Yeah.
Oh, I'm not too far from. I'm like
Well,
maybe.
see, here's the thing. That actually doesn't negate him from being a tall white. He just
Sure.
isn't. He's less than 400 years old, which is there is a second kind of puberty.
He's like a growing up. He's a prepubescent tall white.
Okay.
Yeah. I've got more on that later, but
Now,
like we can kind of keep that on a back burner that Jeremy Albertson, Germa, might be a tall white.
Can I just also throw out there, because I feel like maybe we didn't say it. Tall whites are a species of alien.
Oh yeah,
by
I
the way.
guess I haven't technically said
this is
that.
a thing. Is if you are in the alien, like if you're in the community that either believes in aliens or pays attention to these people who believe in aliens, you will probably run into the idea of the tall whites. So just to be clear, if you got
it's
this
really
far into the
funny
episode,
thinking
It's
back.
not a funny phrase that we made up.
Yeah, it's really funny thinking through everything I've said so far without like legitimately without saying the word alien.
yeah, an extraterrestrial
and we-
being.
It's yeah, okay. So yeah. Sorry,
I'm
tall
gonna
whites.
I'm gonna go on DraftKings and I'm gonna say you did say it though.
I might have.
We were talking a lot of bullshit over it though, so
That's
it's good
true.
to reiterate.
That's true.
So, like I said, the main person here that you'll see brought up with it is Charles Hall and his series of books. Now, I'm just gonna say this now and kind of lean my thumb on the scale a little bit. He has a documentary that is an adaptation of his multiple books that's just called Walking with Tall Whites.
Mm-hmm.
And
I've
I
heard
think we
of
should
that.
do a fuck your documentary about that because I
Yeah.
think it's readily available right now.
Okay, I do believe I'm aware of this.
Yeah.
So
The
but I would
Rock
be
has
happy
a
to
movie
watch
called
it.
that too.
The Walking Tall, is that the poll here?
It's and Johnny Knoxville is the titular tall white.
Yeah. All right.
Sup,
So-
man? I'm from the Alpha Centauri system. Or wait, fuck! I did Steve-O. Fuck!
Yeah, you did Steve-O.
Oh,
Now you have to put a
shit.
whole bottle of hot sauce in your eye.
What is Johnny Knoxville? Sup, man? I'm from the Alpha Centauri system. That's
Yeah,
Johnny
kinda like
Knoxville.
He's got a little bit of like a
That's
Yeah.
true. He's
That
got
he does.
like an evil rat.
Yeah, kind of. You know the rat that Willem Dafoe plays in Fantastic Mr. Fox?
I
Yeah.
thought you were gonna say Nosferatu.
He played all those rats.
Yeah.
Not
Oh,
many
re-
people
yeah.
know that.
He insisted on it. So a lot of the stuff that we have about tall whites comes from a series of books by Charles Hall, starting with the book Millennial Hospitality in 2012 or 2002. And then the subsequent 5 more volumes published over the next approximately 10 years that dictate his history with both kind of his personal history and then his history with various aliens, which he has encountered more than just tall whites. There's like, we could do a full-blown actual Charles Hall episode in addition to this one, which is why I'm going to talk more about the aliens in this one than him. But they're so linked that you can't do one without the other, you know?
Millennial Hospitality, huh? Let me take a guess. They come home from their barista job and they have you over to feed you avocado toast and to play Super Mario.
Yeah. And then they touch butts and go on adventures.
and order pizza.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They touch butts and order pizza. That's way funnier than what I said.
May I ask a question?
Yeah, go ahead.
And just tell me if I'm jumping the gun. But what do they actually look like? Are they tall and white?
I do have that information.
I think they're
which we'll
pretty
get to
easily
shortly.
conflated with Nordics. They're tall white beings, right? Like unless I'm
Largely, yes.
misremembering.
They both are pale humanoids.
Yeah.
That are they could be very interchangeable. Yes.
When the real phrase white, is that referring to white as we mean it as a race or as the literal color white? Is that's kind of what I'm asking.
They have like actually very pale white like white skin.
Yes.
So it's referring to the color, kind of like grays. Like it's white the way that we talk about grays as gray, which are their skin is legitimately gray.
Okay.
I would also add to that on a dog whistle level, it's white like how we mean it.
That was kind of what I was getting at too. But
And I heard a weird. This is nearly unrelated. I heard a weird anecdote recently. Nile, are you familiar with Gray Barker?
Yeah.
Gray wrote they knew too much about flying saucers and kind of originated the Men in Black mythology as we understand it now. I heard a thing recently that he lays claim. I don't think he actually does, but he lays claim to the name of the alien race being the Greys comes from him. Greys aliens.
Interesting. Oh, from named after
Gray
him.
Barker.
Jesus
I
Christ.
heard this
Okay.
recently. Yeah, I don't know how true
So
that
is the
but-
coloration just a fucking coinky dink?
or maybe, I mean, if I don't know, let me put more research into this because I have some books on stuff like this. But that was something I heard somebody on say, and
Not that it is the same thing, but to
Yeah.
me, that's akin to like an old timey dentist legally changing their name to Painless. I just was reading a post about that there actually was a traveling guy who said, like, advertised himself as Painless, and when
God.
when he got in trouble for it, he legally changed his name so that he could
my
still put it on the
God.
side of his like caravan.
Hey, that's
what that feels like to me.
That's the grind set mentality.
Yes.
I will tell you, Gray Barker is actually somebody that I've been really wanting to do an episode on because he's fascinating, but he is kind of known for being a bit of a prankster in a way, for fucking with people.
Okay.
So take the Grays thing with a grain of salt, but it seems like something he might have said at one point to muddy the waters around the discussion, maybe.
It's to me, that's a very funny thing to say.
Yeah.
Oh, Grays, that was me.
Grays, that was
yeah,
me.
It's pretty funny. So to answer your question, tall whites range from between about 6 to over 8 feet as they age. They're slender and have a very pale white skin with large. They're described as wraparound, so I guess they're like kind of large, what are those? What are the fucking Oakley sunglasses? It's like I imagine their eyes like almost like Oakley's, you know?
Sure.
So ugly as fuck.
Yeah. And the eyes are almost always blue, but there are scattered instances where other eye colors pop up, usually indicating like a different, like a very specific thing, you know, like it,
Like maybe they're less than,
or have a specific job, you know. But yeah, it's
such as slave.
no, when the switch on the back of their neck gets flipped, they turn red and they're evil.
Oh, okay.
No, I'm kidding. But then they have short blonde hair usually. Except for there are some, I've seen some pictures of ones with long hair.
Shocking.
Weird
Yeah, I
how
know.
we're back to the
Oh.
blonde hair, blue eyed thing. Interesting.
This is what I'm saying. This is. Listen, guys. I'm gonna start my own podcast.
Yeah. Now, here's a thing that I talked earlier about the whole like second puberty kind of thing at 400 years. They have a lifespan of approximately 800 years. And after 800 years, they literally, the way I saw it described is they outgrow their bones and their whole system just like collapses. Like they have some almost like there are people that think, and theories that think that it's a bioengineering mistake that in trying to like help their race in terms of, you know, doing what enlarging their lifespan or something, they accidentally engineered this like fucking kill switch that flips at age 800, where they just like will get to that age and then their whole body will just fucking get seemingly like
collapse.
Like it's kind of grisly, but it's also it's not like we've ever found one of these things, you know. It's a weird thing that comes directly from one of Charles's like 5 books.
It does suck to think that one day humanity of the far future is going to have to watch German 985 just biologically collapse on stream, but it'll have all been worth it because we will also get to see him go through puberty.
Finally.
Yeah. So, their speech. So largely when they communicate with humans, it's telepathically using machine assisted stuff. There's a thing we'll talk about in a little bit that facilitates that. But their actual speech resembles bird chirps and barking dogs. So they more vocalize than make what we would consider words. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense. bird chirps and barking dogs. I mean, I feel like when I hear stories of aliens are like, oh yeah, they talk to you in your mind. They're psychic. It's like, use your words, bro.
Yeah.
At this point,
Grow up.
You've made it. You've made interstellar travel all the way to planet Earth. Can you not develop some sort of translation device?
Which,
You know?
they do have a translation device.
Okay.
Every adult, I saw it listed as every adult, which I think comes before the 400 years, but like they have like a multi-stage life cycle thing. So every adult version of a tall white has this like pen-shaped silver object that they carry with them that is both it when I say it sounds kind of like, you know how sonic screwdrivers can do kind of just anything they need to?
Yes.
As a plot device.
They don't do wood.
Yeah, except for that, sure. It almost feels a little like that, where they help with translation. They also can like they
Suck you off.
They can kill. Like they are effectively like guns as well. And they do various other things, like they can like levitate and stuff, but that might be because of the clothing they wear. They have like their powers, and a lot of their powers come from mechanical means through this little like wand sonic screwdriver thing that they carry around. And so like, yeah, that like it's a weapon, but it's also a tool that can do a bunch of shit, and all of them have this thing.
I think it's time for us to have a crass doctor from in Doctor Who.
A body
yeah.
doctor.
Yeah, like the doctor like fucking he's having trouble, or she is having trouble getting into something with their sonic screwdriver, and they're just like, this sonic screwdriver can suck my dick, and then that sets up the companion to be like, wow, your technology, Gallifreyan technology is so advanced. That's incredible. It could be a fun new
honestly,
direction.
I think that's the way to go.
The vulgar
forward.
Doctor.
Yeah,
We had
really,
the War Doctor. We had Tenant Doctor.
Who would you cast? Who's
vulgar?
your
Yo, oh shit, that's such a good question. Kevin Smith. Can you picture Kevin Smith running around in like a big overcoat and stuff? Like he's wearing like David Tennant stuff, but like it's extra baggy. And, no, sorry, he has the baggy jorts plus the coat and a sonic screwdriver, and he's like, fucking A, man, this fucking screwdriver can fucking fuck Daleks up, man.
What would be fun is if he was cast only as an actor and had no creative input, so you don't get his like writing style.
Yes.
And he's just
That'd be
delivering
awesome.
like normal fucking Doctor Who. Like if we still keep Russell Davies at the fucking helm and have Kevin Smith as the Doctor, that show would be so weird. It would be so weird.
That'd be awesome. I want to see the episode where Kevin Smith Doctor goes back in time to stop himself from posting the thing after he saw Captain Marvel. The tweet that I won't let go.
Whenever Kevin Smith shows up on this podcast, usually when you bring him up, there's a coin flip of if you are going to reference him crying about Captain Marvel or
her clit still pones my taint / brown area.
I was going to say, don't say brown area. As soon as you said it, I knew that's what you were thinking of. What is do I know the Captain Marvel one?
He posted, I don't know if you do, but when
I know we fuck like we're cheating on each other with each other. I say, because I say that part of it a lot, but I literally genuinely hate the phrasing of the rest of it. Like I won't even say it.
It's
Kyle,
not
do you want to explain it?
So he posted, I don't know, I haven't seen Captain Marvel or whatever movie it was. It was something like that. And he posted a photo of himself. And this is the era of him looking like he's lost so much weight. He's like almost emaciated looking. Like he's very thin.
He has such a thin face.
It's
you can
kind of
see the skeleton.
Exactly. So you need to picture that. But it's a close-up selfie that he took. And he has big, wide-eyed tears streaming down his face. His eyes are all red, and he's like whimpering puppy dog face. Mm-hmm. And he has some tweet about, fucking Captain fucking Marvel made me fucking cry, man. You got to just go see it yourself,
It's
man.
just so beautiful.
It's so beautiful, and it's just the photo
Seeing
that's
these things
attached
on a
to
big
it.
screen. Yeah.
The photo that's attached to it
let me
is so
just ask
crazy.
both of you, when was the last time you were that moved by a piece of art?
I mean, look, it's not about.
And yet he's the problem?
No. Let me clarify why this tickles me so much, because it's not so much about being moved by art. It is, and I haven't seen Captain Marvel, so I can't speak to how artistic that is. But it's the fact that he stopped to take a big
Yes,
close-up
of course.
selfie of it. That's the thing that makes me feel crazy about it. Look, I love Kevin Smith. This has come up recently, but
I've seen this picture of him.
The only thing that would make it funnier is if he had to put hashtag branded content at the back of it. Like if he got paid for it, that would make it just
Way
that little
funnier.
bit funnier.
Here's an
I
idea.
am a blubbering mess.
There it
After
is.
a lifetime spent referencing the movies just referenced me. That's what
Oh
he's
my
crying about.
Yeah.
Wow, Kevin. I'll just say it on record. I like Kevin Smith.
I love
generally.
Kevin Smith.
Yeah.
But he's
great.
also like one of the most easily dunkable motherfuckers on the
He's-
face of the planet.
He's both very entertaining, and I like a good chunk of his movies, and I also never want to be in the same room as him.
Yeah, that's
You know?
that's good. I'm a blubbering mess. Just has a similar vibe and cadence to me as cock is one of my favorite tastes. I am a blubbering mess.
And that says more about you than it does about Kevin Smith.
Absolutely 100% yes.
No one else has ever connected those two phrases. You're
Yeah.
the first one.
Yeah, I agree. You're right. I shouldn't, but that's the way. Those are the synapses firing. All right, I just rub them together, the electrons, and I put a thought into the world. Here's an alternative idea. We just take Kevin Smith tweets and replace all of the Doctor's dialogue with Kevin Smith tweets, so that
Yes.
he's bearing down on a Cyberman and he's talking about his. Well, I
Yeah.
shan't say in front of Jules.
Yes, out of respect. Thank you.
Yeah.
I think we need to get like a classically trained British actor to do Kevin Smith tweet
Yes.
dialogue.
Yeah,
I agree.
yes, I would love that.
This just sounds like we're doing a late night bit.
It
Oh,
is.
no.
It is,
A
isn't
classically
it?
trained British actor reads Kevin Smith tweets.
This is like a Pete Holmes bit.
Yeah.
Oh
Yeah.
shit, you're right.
Oh, all
Only
right.
it's Pete Holmes doing an impression of the British actor, and it's all teeth. It's
Yeah.
all teeth.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. All right. So tall whites wear reflective white or sometimes gray, silvery suits that also seemingly give them some level of levitation along with so they can levitate and also have a sonic screwdriver. We all got that?
Yeah, we got, we got that.
They have supposedly been on Earth and have had a base underneath that just happened to be where this military base ended up hundreds of years later. Supposedly they've been there since the 1700s, in Nevada, in an underground base doing their shit. And that led to them eventually being part of that. I did an episode on this forever ago, but the supposed alien peace treaty with President Eisenhower in 1954. Or 50,
Yeah,
I think
aliens
54.
aliens cut a deal with Eisenhower so that they can do shit on Earth in
Yeah.
an underground base, basically.
So that is they are part of that whole thing. They're part
Sure.
of the peace treaty. So they are secretly behind the scenes involved with our government, and that's why they're like the underground portion of this military base and interface with these military people, which is where Charles Hall comes in. And supposedly other people saw these things as well, like Charles Hall. There cites other people, and there are other quote whistleblowers that will kind of corroborate Charles Hall's stuff. And as far as I can tell, the military service career that Hall had is legitimate. Like he served in, I think, Vietnam and then was stationed at this military base. Like the timeline of those things matches what he says usually, because he was there from like 65 to 67, I believe.
Is this guy still
and-
alive? Sorry, I'm just.
No, he died
No, he's
in
not. Okay.
2021. So
okay.
very recently. So yeah, they have a secretive pact with the U.S. government, and depending on who you ask, like there was an article that I found from I think 2014 that's an Iranian government official was whistleblowing that the tall whites secretly ruled America, which seems to be a takeoff on this kind of packed conspiracy theory that has been circulating for quite some time.
No. With the
we have,
current
like,
news, I just wonder if
I
those
know.
people are going insane right now.
Yeah. You do kind of have to wonder that. Yeah. So, that, let's see, long lifespan. We've been through that. Okay. Yeah. So here's the other thing about them. We talked about the Pleiadians being pretty peaceful, Space Brothers-y, all that kind of stuff, right? Another thing that differentiates the tall whites, or as we have come to, so they're not the race of aliens that is called the Arcturians. That is a possibly related race that might act as some sort of spiritual guides for the tall whites. Arcturians are these like blue humanoid light beings that are from the same from Arcturian star system. But then the tall whites, as best as we can figure out, they seem to at least have some fondness or reverence for Arcturus,
relationship
the star.
Okay.
And so people have taken to believing that that's at least, if not their home world, a place that they are kind of have a kinship to.
Something
so they're
that's
largely
important.
thought of as being from Arcturus,
Now,
the star.
Correct me if I'm misremembering, but isn't there like a niche conspiracy group of people who believe that there are humans on Earth who are reincarnated Arcturians? Am I remembering that correctly?
I believe so.
It all
yes.
goes back to the sort of light works and the elevated consciousness, new age stuff that these people will sometimes it's literally just like a spiritual earthly movement. But if those people get bundled up with alien stuff, I feel like they gravitate towards like the Pleiadians and the Arcturians as sort of like, oh, these are the people that seeded us on Earth, and that's why we have access to this like otherworldly consciousness or whatever they say. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I think the Arcturians are also in the same area. It's very similar, at least I think, to the other like the Pleiadians and stuff.
Yeah.
I'm sure
So
there's an important distinction between those things, but they feel the same. You know what I mean? Sorry.
Here's the thing. There's like, I was really trying to nail down where the divide comes between tall whites, Pleiadians, Nordics, because even some people think Nordics aren't the same things as Pleiadians.
Yeah.
And there is like, I think Charles Hall is one of those people. And so like this stuff gets so muddy from source to source, what is what and where the delineating lines are. And it just comes down to whoever you're reading has had contact with and what they've, been told or quote made up. And so it gets really muddy really quickly.
Yeah. Sorry, I just wanted to jump in because I think that the perfect thing to picture is we've been talking about this about the X-Files on our Patreon. There's an episode called Jose Chung's from Outer Space, and there's a character in it who when they're trying to investigate this UFO story, one of the characters who get involved spins this insane mythology about a Lord Kinboat. And the inner Earth, and the UFOs and aliens coming from the inner Earth and stuff. And the episode ends with him being like a spiritual guru that's about elevated consciousness and how to combat the magma beings from the inner Earth with your elevated consciousness. And it's just like, that's the guy you should picture when you hear this stuff, because what this ultimately is whatever. It's all it's like different warring gurus, basically, like wannabe gurus or proper gurus or channelers / gurus. You know what I'm saying? Like they all have different ideas of where this all comes from and the details surrounding the different alien beings and stuff and how you elevate your consciousness or whatever. And they're all trying to be that guru, basically.
Yeah.
Most of the time.
A weird thing about Charles Hall in this instance is, as far as I can tell, he supposedly saw these things in the 1960s, 65 to 67 approximately. And then he didn't really go talk about it until like the late 90s before he published his book in like 2002. So there's this really long gap between the actual sightings and then the books that were originally published as fictionalized biography, I think is technically how they were put out first, like a biography with fictional elements. So this was a place where the alien parts of his books were originally kind of linked as fiction before he was like, no, this actually happened.
I feel like we've encountered that a couple times with stories of people like this, where I think, in fact, that was the exact same situation with the Love and Light works.
Yep.
Where they for whatever reason, they published the story as fiction and then later on reincorporated the fiction as reality.
And this is the thing that people will talk about as like, well, they couldn't say it was real because the publisher wouldn't publish it as nonfiction,
exactly.
or they would have gotten made fun of or attacked for saying this is real. And like I guess I can kind of see that, because you see that with like UFO encounters and stuff where people will not talk about it until other reports start coming out, and then they're like, oh, I didn't want to talk about this, but I saw it too. And you know, whether you believe those people or not is entirely up to you, because it, you know, people will jump on to anything. But it is a pretty common thing with these people to like, they write the novel 30 years ago and then put it in a drawer for fucking 3 decades. And they're like, oh no, I've had this whole time. And they may have written it the week before.
Yeah, it probably is dependent on the situation, because, like, you know, you could just self-publish a pamphlet about why you are the ascended consciousness, the reincarnation of a Damsky or whatever, right? But then I also think, like, well, maybe this person somehow got some sort of publication deal, and, you know, it's about the cart before the horse, you know? So I don't know. You can speculate, but it does make you wonder. It does make you wonder.
So I almost got into this earlier, but the one of the differences between these guys and the Nordics is that the Nordics usually get looked at as space brothers. These guys have kind of a temper. And that little pencil thing that they have, their silver device, can administer punishments and stuff. It can give people severe pain, along with annoy, frighten, and endanger people. And that it seems to be administered through varying the frequency of focused microwaves that will then impact human body. So maybe this technology might be how we got Havana syndrome.
Who are they punishing?
People on the base. So supposedly, if you're a human on that base and you like look at one of these things wrong, and they will just like fucking whip their thing out and like attack you.
Oh, no.
Like that, people have died supposedly from crossing these things. And I guess that's just like part of the whole treaty. They can do whatever the fuck they want, and it's not a problem, it seems like.
Jesus.
Yeah.
Okay, that's not great. It certainly differs from the peace-loving space brotherly versions of this idea of the tall white alien being. Weird.
Yeah, they also supposedly react and move faster than humans. So like if you do piss one off, they can like all
parry
of a sudden
you.
Just fucking they can parry you. Yeah, go ahead. Now here's just the thing. This is one of those fun things. I love this detail in stories like this. So in a lot of ways, these beings are far more advanced than us. They have more advanced technology. They can live for 800 years. They have all these things, but every alien race always has like something they're trying to get from humanity, because humanity is like the special race that has like. So supposedly in this case, the things that these people are lacking are, quote, wisdom, intelligence, and moral stature. And so that's what we are supposedly better at than they are.
Okay, so they're here. They're bringing their punishment rods, and they want like moral assistance from they're Catholic.
Yeah.
Am I like they're just
spot on?
They show up and they're like, Mr. Eisenhower, they zap him with their rod, and he's just like, I have the perfect religion for you, by the way. Interesting. That's weird.
Yeah, you have to go to a thing called confessional.
That's very
You're gonna love
weird.
it.
It's like it doesn't it always seems to me that if there is an alien being coming here, they are not seeking any sort of metaphysical advancement from us. It is always in the other direction. Usually it's like they have some sort of reason to like usually like a physical resource of some like a material. So this is very on its head to say they want to advance their morality by humans.
Yeah. There's
They have all taken turns on each other with the rods.
Of course. Well, I said they're Catholic.
They're all sick of it though. And they're like, guys, we got to work this out. We got to get a couples counselor. And they picked humanity to be the couples counselor.
What's funny is like on the day that those things get handed out to the young ones and everything, it's just a fucking bloodbath.
Yes.
They all are just
Definitely.
like, they all come out with like welts and bruises
And all
shit,
the do you think all the meek tall whites back on their planet, like when they're being like all meek and shit, the other kids are just like, where were you when God was handing out punishment rods?
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So here's just some like fun little hits that there's a bunch of. I love the like when they start to try to fill out the details of these things' lives, because the ones that are on Earth, supposedly they like to take like weekend trips to either Vegas or to Washington D.C. to visit Lincoln Monument.
Okay.
They also like to go stargazing on hot summer nights.
They love to visit the Lincoln Monument.
That's what they say.
They're like, looks like us.
Reminds
It's
me.
tall and white.
It's
Tall and white.
They go in and see the
Do they love the Washington Monument too, or not enough facial structure?
I don't know.
Too tall?
The source that I grabbed just I don't know. I really do kind of want to look in his books and just like getting like a PDF of a book and just being able to like Control F find some things. I want to find if he specifically singles out the Lincoln Memorial or if like they
If
like,
it is the Lincoln Memorial, I bet they were psyched about that MLK statue.
oh yeah.
I feel like that's Lincoln Memorial 2 Electric Boogaloo, if you
True.
like that kind of thing. Very tall white statue.
Yeah. You're right.
I bet these motherfuckers in part orchestrated 9/11 because they couldn't have something tall and gray competing with that shit.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Thank you.
The Burj Khalifa has to like watch its ass.
yeah.
So they're
No, they actually love Mission Impossible.
okay, yeah, they're a big Tom Cruise fan.
Yeah, so they'll let that one
But
go.
he's a short white.
That's
though.
why they like him.
Okay.
They keep him around because he's so cute. and
Pocket
little.
white.
Yeah.
Pocket size.
Yeah.
white.
Yes. Yeah.
So supposedly their children are fun-loving, energetic, and inquisitive. They enjoy playing hide and seek, but they also like to play catch with soft objects since their bodies are frail and bruise easily. Mothers are incredibly devoted to their children and exist solely for the purpose of meeting the needs of their offspring. So yeah, they're very rigid gender roles in this alien race.
Okay.
Whenever you hear stuff like that, aren't you like, well, what would you say about human mothers
Yeah, it's
in a textbook?
There's a lot of this that feels psychologically revealing for the person writing about
Yeah,
it.
but it's just like all of them are exactly that, and that's it.
Yep.
But yet they are like, they're smart enough that they have a society and language and like all this type of shit.
Yeah,
But yet you can talk about them as if they're like
a monolith.
wild pigs. Where it's like the mother gives birth and then devotes every waking
You're
moment
right,
to
because,
caring
like,
for the young.
The thing with aliens is usually they have reached some level of utopia or dystopia and are like going out amongst the stars. And a lot of them are like they have reached this level because they have very strict societal guidelines and they're coming to us because we're like loosey-goosey and fun. And it's weird to like look at that as so specific for them. Like the alien races don't typically have a lot of individuality.
Yeah.
Whereas and we're always like, they come for us.
I'm going back on the couples counselor thing. I don't think it's that at all. I think they just ran out of people to use the rods on. And they were like, let's go. Let's make up a story to tell the humans. But really, if they make eye contact with us, we get to hit them with the rod.
Yeah. I think they really I think they really do like to just fucking go to town with those things.
I think so too. I think that's their main thing. Like, I think all of the rest of this is like a show they put on for us so that we would let them hang out. And in exchange, they get to use the rods on us.
Yeah.
And they like that.
So we've talked a lot about the rods and everything, but like, let's talk about some of the actual incidents, some of the sightings, some of the like actual encounters with these beings. When you're looking for sightings, most of them are Charles Hall. There are a couple other ones, and specifically there are a couple that take place ahead of him. So I want to start with one that is, as far as people on the internet and doing research into tall whites and everything, this is the original first time a tall white interacted with humanity that we have recorded record of. And that took place in November of 1896 in California, a place near Lodi, California.
Sure.
Lodi?
Lodi.
Yeah.
Makes perfect sense. California, kind of weird out there. They're like kind of crazy.
Yeah, and this was published in a newspaper called the Stockton Evening Mail of Stockton, California. And it's an account by the people Colonel H.G. Shaw and his traveling partner Camille Spooner.
Hell yeah.
Big or little.
Yeah. Well, I honestly, I don't even know. That was what happened there is I thought I had a joke and I didn't.
Yeah.
So we just went with it.
We've all been there.
Yeah. So these basically they just witnessed as they're out traveling these 7 foot tall white beings that had very little strength and weighed. They described their weight as being an ounce, which seems crazy. Which I wonder if that has to do with the levitation suits. Like they didn't have, they were like floating or something.
Okay.
You know?
Yeah.
And this is part of where the whole thing, they describe their language as, quote, warbling or sounding like a monotonous chant that was inclined to be guttural, which is very similar to talking about like dog barking and bird sounds, you know? Their feet were long and narrow and their toes were long enough to be used as we would use our fingers on Earth with like, so like kind of primate length toes. And Colonel Shaw specifically talks about them doing that. Here, this is a quote from Shaw that was in that article. They were without any sort of clothing, but were covered with a natural growth hard to describe. It was not hair, neither was it like feathers, but it was as soft as silk to the touch, and their skin was like velvet. Their faces and heads were without hair, the ears were very small, and the nose had the appearance of polished ivory, while the eyes were large and lustrous. The mouth, however, was small, and it seemed to me that they were without teeth. That and other things led me to believe that they neither ate nor drank, and that life was sustained by some sort of gas. Each of them had swung under the left arm a bag to which was attached a nozzle, and every little while, one or the other would place the nozzle on his mouth, at which time I heard a sound of escaping gas. It was much the same sound as was produced by a person blowing up a football. They possessed a strange and indescribable beauty. I can express myself in no other way. They were graceful to a degree and more divinely beautiful than anything I ever beheld.
Huh.
So these are guys in Party City costumes.
Yeah, you wonder, like, has this person just never seen a bagpipe?
A bagpipe?
You know?
I was thinking inflatable suit.
Yeah. There's a thing that Kyle and I have been coming across a lot lately, where it seems like people are in like reflective heat-proof suits.
Mm-hmm.
And that is responsible for like a chunk of alien sightings. A lot of times in Europe, a lot of like British UFO sightings, or people were like seeing people in like iron smelting factory suits.
Yeah.
And stuff.
In the one documentary we watched, there was a...
Yeah, there was. You're right. So eventually these alien beings came up to and examined them. You know, it did go both ways. And they examined the horse and buggy that these people were in, and then signaled their leader, who attempted to lift the colonel. Supposedly he thought with the intention of carrying him away, like just like stealing him. But found that they were entirely unable to lift a human being, which is part of why they thought they're very weak. They appeared to have no muscular power outside of being able to move their own limbs. Now, this
Bird
is
bones.
Exactly, which is kind of weird because another thing that you'll see talked about is they walk kind of strange on Earth because their planet, wherever they come from, has a higher gravity, which would make me think that it would be
Just bone
denser
snapping.
bones. Yeah, like if they're that
Yeah,
weak,
they would need denser bones to live.
Yeah,
that way,
yeah.
Right?
like are they just like a big bruise on their home planet because they're so weak, but they are on high gravity?
They're lying about coming here for moral assistance. They're tired of just being born into a world where their bones just snap randomly like that.
Yeah.
They're just walking around just
Yeah.
they're sick of that
Bones
shit.
hurt. Let's go to Earth.
They got bird bones, prehensile toes. They huff farts. These are the worst aliens I've ever heard.
It really, you're
These
not.
guys suck shit.
These guys fucking suck.
So Kyle, just a little nugget for you to kind of wrap up some.
I love
sightings.
nuggets.
I won't listen.
You're welcome to listen. It just will mean more to Kyle.
No, I understand.
Okay.
This is a private moment between the two of you.
Between podcast hosts. Yeah, sometimes you have to have private moments.
Yeah.
So the next sighting historically that people will point to as a tall white sighting is that
Sorry, Jules is
Jules
trying
is doing
to,
a really good bit.
Look away so that she doesn't.
I'm giving you your
get too
privacy.
involved. Thank you. No, and I appreciate that. Thank you. Don't look.
So
Thank you.
the next encounter that people will link to as being tall whites is that of one Antonio Villas-Boas of Brazil, the Brazilian farmer. So he
won't go away.
Exactly. He keeps popping up all over the place for us. So supposedly tall whites were involved with his abduction as well. And then after him, you get, because that's 57, and then Charles Hall picks up in 65 to 67. So
The
like
gas and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
That okay. Jules, you can look now.
yeah, you're
What?
welcome back now.
Huh?
Thank you. Welcome back. That's he keeps getting the Villas-Boas story keeps getting wrapped back into other stories lately. It's interesting.
I feel like it's one of those ones that is like, it has enough weird details to it, even though I think when I looked into it, it pretty closely follows some story from a sci-fi magazine at the time. But like, it really has captured the imagination of a lot of people, and people try to link it to so many things.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So, yeah. So yeah, that's Charles Hall has some stuff, but we're gonna do a Charles Hall episode at some point. I'll probably do that soon. So I'm gonna save a lot of his sightings for that. So that's your primer on the tall whites. Do we feel like we've learned something here today?
I learned that they're like the Nordics but stupider. They're like the lamer version of the Nordics.
Yeah.
Honestly, I mean, it blonde hair, blue eyes, tall, pale, like it's very similar. But then it's just like, what if instead of being like beautiful, I guess they did kind of say they're beautiful, but like, I can't picture beautiful. What if they just huffed farts and had weird fucked up toes too? Like I don't know. But hey, I'm glad that you tackled them. I didn't know, to be honest, in my mind, I had just sort of grouped tall whites in with the Nordics.
I kind of had too.
To know there's a distinction is interesting.
Yeah. So, you guys ready for a big question?
Absolutely.
All right. Man, I have not had that much of this beer, but I just slurred that like a motherfucker.
Yeah, your cup is full.
Yeah, my cup is fucking full.
You
So
need help.
That's
Now
not
it's
that.
fucked up off of half a
Yeah.
beer.
So
I feel that. We both need dinner, Nile. I think that's
Yeah,
the
yeah.
lesson here.
So if you were to design an alien race by only size descriptor and a color, what do you want to see?
Oh, fuck.
I can go first if you
Size?
need
So wait.
It's just size
What are
and
the things
color?
I'm allowed to
it's
describe?
just the name of the alien race is a size descriptor and a color, and then you
what is
can
that
you
to
can
you?
Oh, I
what is
see.
that to you?
Huh.
I can start if that's easier.
Yeah, go
So I'm going to go ahead and start with a huge green.
the Jolly Green Giant.
Kind of. I was thinking it would be kind of you know how there's like people found out that like fungi will like live over like miles and it's all connected as one kind of being, you know?
Yeah.
I think some sort of like alien sentient,
like a mycelium colony.
yeah, but alien and fucked up and cool.
That's terrifying.
yeah.
That's what you want because that's scary as fuck. Mom.
I mean, it'd be cool though.
It would be cool.
You just.
But you know that's the beginning of a creature that sort of takes over the planet, right?
I mean, yeah.
I think
It kind of is.
I guess you could be a benevolent hive mind or whatever.
Yeah, maybe it's just
like
here. Maybe it's just chill and doesn't actually want anything other than to just like, process oxygen and shit on Earth for us. Clean up.
I
the
am
environment.
realizing I have maybe a bias from the pop culture and media that I have taken in that involves hive minds. It's that typically they're like they want you to assimilate. They want to Borg your ass up.
Yeah.
Well, shit. Okay, but I can respect it. There is something majestic about because I'm picturing giant fungi and mushrooms.
Mm-hmm.
It's like cool, but scary. It's like almost sublime conceptually.
Yeah.
That's why I'm.
How
Gonna have
much
to go with
weed
little
did you have to
pinkies.
smoke to come up with that?
So much.
Bro, were you microdosing some of the Alice in Wonderland style mushrooms to come up with that one? To get into that headspace?
What was I looking up?
Were you Drew Carey style microdosing and making EDM in your room alone?
I had a
to
cracked
get into
copy
that
of Fruity
headspace?
Loops, and I was microdosing shrooms while hosting The Price is Right, and led to me coming up with that. There was a thing that I was trying to look up that was a possible episode topic that every time I searched it, it was a weed strain, and I can't remember what it was. This is gonna ruin my day. Anyway, I'll figure it out.
White Yoda?
No, I wasn't doing an episode on Yoda.
On White Yoda?
Man, Alien
I think
Primer
I'm also-
Yoda talks weird. Little guy, green guy.
Politically right of center, it turns out, unfortunately. It's very strange. Also, I think I need little pinkies.
Okay, yeah. What's that like?
And here's the thing. First of all, that's a cute name, right? You're already like, people are like, dude, the aliens are coming to Earth. And you're like, oh my God, seriously? That's crazy. That's incredible. We have confirmed the aliens coming. What are they called? Little pinkies. Aww.
Yeah. Now, are they is it like
that's
pinky? Or like, are they communist?
Well, here's the like little
Or
pinkos.
is it both?
Lil Pinkos? Well, here's the thing. This is going to I want to stretch the possibility of what an alien can be. People are always like, oh, they've got leathery elephant skin and big black eyes and blah blah blah. That's so normal. I'm the Joker over here. I'm like I'm shopping at Hot Topic, which is, not, it's way past normal or whatever. Or maybe that's oh no, that's Three Floyds beer.
Yeah.
This is going to be an alien that looks like the cartoon Pinky from Pinky and the Brain. And it's going to be a little guy. And it's going to be a whole race of them. And they're all going to say Narf. And they will also be communists.
Will they be, instead of being white and pink and white, like it'll be an inverted
A little
color?
color
We
swap?
can do, it's like a reverse hollow.
Yeah, I was going to go player 2. You plug in that second controller and they got to just palette swap it.
Yeah. Player 2 Pinky.
Player 2 Pinky's not a bad
Gumble
title.
to
All
Gumble,
right.
Jungle to Jungle, Pinky, Player 2 Pinky. I don't know why that one
That really got
popped me
you.
so much. Sorry, that one got me. So that's my pitch. Little pinkies.
All right.
Mine's like an average aquamarine, like kind of like a mean
Yeah.
blue, like a blue meanie.
Oh,
that was a bit of a walk to get there, but you got
that
there.
was such a
Good for you.
I could not have in a million years predict. I actually was thinking, I was going to try and do a same thing with a purple giant, like a purple people. But that's way more.
Now is the blue meanie going to try to enact the Blue World Order?
We can hope.
Ooh.
Okay.
We can dream. Well,
is he
you thought I was
gonna
doing the
do
wrestler,
it?
but I wasn't.
I know you weren't, but it works.
I'm just saying you're doing a wrestler thing.
Yeah.
And is he going to do it from his Yellow Submarine?
That's the dream.
Do these?
Do you know? I was thinking colors. Of course, I thought blue meanie, and then I was like, so how do I make it about the blue meanie? But I associate. I was gonna make him small at first because I have such a strong sense memory of my mom's action figure set of the Yellow Submarine film.
Okay.
Whoa.
So she had
What?
the Beatles.
That's crazy.
The Nowhere Man. What's his actual name? He has a name in the movie.
I
So
haven't
I'm about to
actually
show
seen
my
the
ass
movie in
here.
full.
The blue meanies from the Yellow Submarine.
Yes.
Okay.
So I'll show
Yeah.
here. I'm gonna pull up a picture of him so that you can try to picture the action figure.
I
But
know the ska band and I know the wrestler.
there were individual figures of all of the Beatles, and then Nowhere Man. There was the word love, and these were like hard plastic,
Okay.
brightly colored. They
Wow.
looked
How,
like the movie. But there was a blue
How
meanie,
old were these?
and he was so chunky and fat and like heavy and hard to stand up on his little boots. And I was obsessed with him. I loved him so much. Anyway, so that's what I was picturing at
meanie.
first. This is a blue meanie, as is seen in
I
Yellow
can
Submarine.
picture them in my head. I've never actually watched Yellow Submarine in full.
Oh, we should watch
but
that.
I know the stuff from it.
I find that
that's
movie
such a
like
cool sounding
genuinely
set.
so charming and fun, and like I love that kind of like kitschy psychedelic shit from the 60s, and it's like that movie's just so fun.
Yeah.
I love that album. I was just going to bat for that album with Nile the other day, and I was like, I've never heard any of these songs, and assumed that it
Yellow
was
Submarine.
Yeah, like assumed that it was purely like soundtrack to the movie, and I was like, no, there's a bunch of original Beatles songs that are in that movie.
Yeah. I mean, before I even knew there was a movie, I'd heard the Yellow Submarine album. I will say, I think that I do remember liking the album. I do. Maybe this is a little personal taste. Obla Dee Obla Da.
Guess what? That's
Kinda
not
drives
on
me
Yellow
nuts.
Submarine. So how about you
Is it
go
not?
and
Wait, is
check
that on,
yourself before you wreck yourself?
Is that White
That's on
Album?
the White Album, my good bitch.
Oh, shit. My bad. What the fuck is... Okay, hang on. Now I need to remember because it's been so long.
Hey Bulldog.
What's on Yellow Submarine? Hey Bulldog.
All
and then,
together now.
Octopus's Garden?
No, Octopus's Garden is Abbey Road, my good bitch.
What the fuck? Both of those songs make perfect
Yeah.
sense.
You're
Really?
absolutely right, and they're not on that album.
Oh my god! I
Look,
feel like I'm losing. I feel like I just got Mandela
These
effect.
fucking Brits have these themes they return to over and over, such as octopuses in a garden, Yellow
I'm
Submarine.
less
Yes, they
confident
love
about
that
Octopus's
shit.
Garden, but 100% Obla Dee Obla Da is on White Album.
I remember
Okay.
them trying to figure out Octopus's Garden in the documentary we watched, which was for the White Album, right?
That is not for the White Album.
Is that not?
Okay.
That's for Let It Be.
It's for Let It Be. Okay.
Mm.
All right.
I can picture how they got to Octopus's Garden. Paul's like fucking strumming around. He's like, thinking of maybe an octopus in a garden.
Do you know
It's not
the
so
the
bad.
famous
Pretty
line from
nice.
Walk Hard? I've got a song about an
no.
octopus. Because as we all know, Ringo Starr wrote Octopus's Garden.
Yeah.
Right.
That's why
Right.
it's the stupidest fucking song you can
It's one of
imagine.
the worst. Did he? So I'm trying to remember. Octopus's Garden is Ringo Starr. Isn't Obla Dee Obla? Is that Paul?
That's Paul.
That makes
That's your temporary secretary shit coming out a little
Right.
early.
Get his ass.
Hey, now, could you do me a favor? Can you do me a favor and make this week's episode's theme song temporary secretary, please?
I
want everybody to hear that.
maybe we'll do a listen along. You know?
I've heard that Paul McCartney
Please.
is litigious, but I
Yeah.
That a Beatle? No.
We're gonna finally get those copyright strikes taken care of by putting a Beatles song as our opening. All right, Kyle, do you want to take care of some
Hey, that's
business?
not a Beatles song.
Oh, sorry, temporary secretary. I was thinking of Octopus.
Temporary Secretary is a hit Paul McCartney single.
Yeah, Paul McCartney joint.
Anyways,
So I'm gonna look.
Sorry.
We've been bad about this in recent memory, so I'm gonna start here. Jules, do you have anything you want to shout out?
the Beatles. Check them out if you haven't heard them. I have a feeling they're going to be the sound of the summer.
little indie
Check out
project.
Yellow Submarine. It's a really fun little album. I genuinely love that album. It is kind of like It's like kid music. I get how some
Yeah.
people write it off, but I think it's great.
Great.
Check out the Beatles.
Yeah, check them out.
Go to the www.thebeatles.com.
Have you heard of them?
And look at
Be
it.
honest.
Hey, have you heard of the Beatles? Hey, check this out. I just heard about this cool new band, the Beatles. They have an amazing song. Norwegian.
That's the song.
That's the poll.
And thanks, yeah.
Yeah, thank you.
I'm plugging my band, The Beatles.
Thank you for coming. Hey, thank you for. Jules is in the band. Jules does vocals and guitar and drums and bass.
And is the third best drummer in the Beatles,
Yeah.
above Ringo.
Yep. Replaced Pete Best with Jules. Hey, thanks for coming on the show,
Yeah.
Jules. It's always a
Thank
pleasure.
you. It was a pleasure to be here.
All right, so let's take care of some business. Kyle, if you want to follow
Yeah.
us on social media, we're on Twitter at IGW Podcast.
You can follow us on Facebook.com/ItGetsWeirdPodcast.
And we're on all your favorite podcatchers. If you listen to podcasts somewhere, look up It Gets Weird, and we're almost certainly there.
We're on Blue Sky at It Gets Weird. Let's ditch Twitter. Come follow us on Blue Sky at It Gets Weird. Also, twitch.tv/It Gets Weird, where I have been playing Elden Ring Night Rain with friend of the show, Colin, and it's been a lot of fun. And we have a lot of fun with Twitch chat. People are like, Kyle, you're bad at the game. And I'm like, no, I'm not. And that's kind of like the dynamic that we have. Email us at itgetsweirdpodcast@gmail.com if you have an interesting story, want to tell us about something, or just want to shoot the shit with the weird crew. That's the place to get at us. Just let us know how we should address you, and we might read your email out on the show. Wouldn't that be a treat for you? A privilege? That would be such a treat for you. So please email us. Now, most importantly, you're going to want to check out patreon.com/itgetsweird. That's where we have a $1 tier, a $2 tier, and a $5 tier. At the $1 tier, you're just giving us $1 as a tip. You're saying, hey, thanks for doing what you do. Here's $1. Keep it going.
If you like the
at the
Beatles
$2
recommendation, you could throw $1
Yes.
our way.
Mm-hmm.
If you're like, oh, I've never heard of the Beatles, let's learn
Let
something
me just
new.
say, if you've never heard of the Beatles and this was the first time you ever heard of them, you owe us $1.
And if you went through this entire episode and learned nothing new until Jules brought up the Beatles, you have to donate at the $5
Yes.
tier, by the
Yes.
way.
And also have to
so
marry your
$2 tier,
We're
and you
working
have
on
to
the honor
marry
system.
your mother-in-law. Yes, we are working on the honor system, and you're going to donate at that $5 tier. But I think you should just do that anyways. $2 tier and the $5 tier, that's where you're going to get bonus content. At $2, we have It Gets Weird TV, where Nile and I are talking about the X-Files. That's what I brought up earlier in this episode. We're having a lot of fun. We're getting into season 3. People then get to vote on the shows that we watch for It Gets Weird TV. It's a lot of fun. But at the $5 tier, you get the World of Weird. That's bonus content every single week. World of Weird is where Nile and I are just shooting the shit about whatever the hell we want to. Sometimes it's about stuff that didn't quite make it on the main show. A lot of the times it's about movies and music and art and whatever we want to talk about. Maybe we'll have a Beatles discussion. You can learn more about them on the show. So please donate. You also get access to your, at the $2 tier and the $5 tier, you get access to the main show 2 days early on Friday instead of Sunday on your own private Patreon feed. And you get access to the Discord where we're hanging out, chatting with our listeners directly about whatever the hell people want to talk about. Sometimes it's Bigfoot, sometimes it's UFOs, sometimes it's conspiracies. So please check it out. Donate if you can. We really appreciate it. You know, your donations prevent us from having to put advertisements in the show. And we really appreciate the people who donate, but we could always use more. So please check it out. And if you can't donate, please tell your friends, tell your enemies, tell your congressman all about It Gets Weird podcast.
All right. Thank you all for listening. Thank you for continuing to support the show. This has been It Gets Weird, and I've been Nile.
And I'm Kyle signing out.